Yes. I'll have the flaxseed pizza, but hold the flaxseed and just a little bit of flax. And I want the pepperonis, but I want the vegetarian pepperonis made out of soy. And I'd like the cheese to be on half the pizza, but only on 3/4 of the crust. And don't forget to give me organic veggies. And I would like a Diet Coke, but I don't want a lot of ice. Make sure there's only 2 cubes of ice. Too much ice and I'm sending it back. Do you hear me? No lot of ice. Only a little bit of ice. Little bit of flaxseed.
Sir, you know this is a steak restaurant, right? Hello my friends and welcome to The Simple Sober Life. I am Joshua and I help others make simple changes to create a life of awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, I don't know about you, but difficult people piss me off. Service industry people, you know exactly what I am talking about. But you know, you'll be going through your day, you'll be in a great mood, and then all of a sudden you'll run into someone who just won't budge on anything. You know, they want it their way, they want it now, and that's the end of it. And you know, it's so frustrating, especially when someone else might have a better idea. I had to deal with this all of the time when I was a server. That was just part of the job. It was insane. And now working, you know, for other people, you know, I'm having to not butt heads, but come into conflict with people who think they are right, and that is it. And it drives me crazy. So, there is a difference between difficult people and a person being difficult. I'm a Taurus. I don't know if that means anything, but I can be very, very stubborn. When I get set in my way, when I am determined to do something, nothing, not even a brick wall will stop me. I will plow right through that thing. I don't care who is standing in my way. I'm very narrow-minded when it comes to something that I want, and I do it. And so in that sense, I can be difficult. Difficult people, on the other hand, are difficult all the time. And it's primarily because they are not happy with their current situation, with the way their life has been going, and or some other factor surrounding their being as a whole, their self-worth. And that is something that we should understand, or at least try to understand, when we are dealing with difficult people. Now, I was doing a little bit of research, and what I found was when dealing with difficult people, it actually elevates your stress levels to the point that would match being in a very stressful situation. And we all know now, after many years of medical research, that stress can lead to a whole slew of medical problems, including heart disease, stroke, weight gain, hair loss, high blood pressure. And we should avoid these things at all costs, which means dealing with difficult people is something that we should try to minimize or avoid. You know, if we are just butting heads with someone on a constant basis, you know, that is an affluent to our health, and that's not okay. When one of the first jobs I had when I was living in Florida, I dealt with a woman. She was my superior, and she was batshit crazy. And I do mean that in the very literal sense. She was out of her mind. She would say one thing and then the very next day she would say the opposite. And so it made it very difficult to try and get anything done. And we just kept going around and around and around and around. And every day, you know, I would go home so stressed out because this was my only source of income and I was freaking out. And there was a point where I would even, I had come home and I just burst into tears because this woman was making it so hard to do anything. And I was being put on the fire for it because nothing was getting done. So there are ways that we need to handle difficult people. And one of the favorite things that we can do in order to handle difficult people, and I first heard this from my ex, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And he always said, and I even found this online, you can't fix stupid. Some people are just so disgruntled in their own life, and they have to force their negativity and their difficultness onto everyone else. And so no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to fix those stupid people. And so coming to terms with that can offer such a sense of relief. You know what? It is not my job to fix your life. It is not my job to make you happy in your own life so that you can actually, you know, exude some positivity or, you know, some happiness. That lies within, and that is on that other person. So we cannot fix stupid. And unfortunately, there may not be a lot of stupid people, but there are definitely a lot of people who act stupid. I've done some dumb crap in my life, and you know, I've acted stupidly on many occasions, but I don't believe I'm a stupid person. But there are those out there, and when you run into them, you know, and your blood pressure immediately goes up, and you know, just taking a step back and knowing you can't fix that person can take some of the weight off. Another thing that we can do is just try and stay calm. You know, our first response wants to go on the defense. You know what? You think this way, I think this way, let's battle it out. Whether it be verbally, sometimes it gets into physical altercations. Let's not get to that point, because what is actually happening when you allow that person to get you to such a level that you're ready to go to fisticuffs? All you're doing is hurting yourself, because once again, as we learned in lesson 1, we can't fix stupid. And so when we allow other people to elevate our stress level to the point where, you know, we're about ready to pop, that's when it becomes our problem. And you know what pisses a stupid person, a difficult person off more than anything else? Staying absolutely calm, talking in a very low, monotoned voice. It makes them feel like they are insane. It makes them feel like they're actually going crazy. And chances are they probably are. So if we can just remember, we can't fix stupid, and stay calm. And staying calm will help us actually take deep breaths in and, you know, bring our stress level down so that it's all on them. We then take that energy and we push it right back onto them, and it's fantastic. Another thing that we can do is actually listen and keep an open mind. You know, I have dealt with very difficult people at times, and, you know, while their tone comes off offensively and, you know, very aggressively, sometimes they actually have a point. You know, yesterday I was at Walmart. I had actually ordered grocery pickup, and you know, I placed the order so that it would be able to be picked up between 5 and 6. Well, 5 o'clock rolls around and I get a text saying my order's ready. I'm like, all right, cool. Oh, I head on over to the Walmart, pull in my parking spot, and it is crazy out there. There are people everywhere. There are people waiting for spots. There are people leaving and running around everywhere. It was pandemonium. And there was a lady, a crazy white-haired, wiry lady with a cheap face mask on, and she was holding her face mask with one hand, and it was one of those like painter's face masks that do absolutely nothing. And she was running around. She ran up to a car where this poor kid was helping another customer load groceries into her car, and she started berating this kid and going crazy. And you know, with one hand, because she had her other hand on her cheap mask. And, you know, it was insane. And then she started like squirting sanitizer at people. This woman was crazy. But I'm sure, you know, deep down, she maybe had a good point. While her delivery was way out of line and just too insane to even handle, chances are she had been sitting there for quite a while, because I sat there for an hour and then got a text saying, oh, we're delayed. You know, we'll text you when your order's ready. Well, I'd already gotten a text saying my order was ready. It should have been done. So I left, I went and got some dinner, and then I got a text saying, oh, your order's ready. And then I go back and it still wasn't ready. 3.5 hours after it should have been ready, it still wasn't ready. So I just had to cancel the order. So while that difficult woman's actions may have been on the border of, you know, complete insanity, what she had to say was probably valid. And so keeping an open mind, keeping calm, and actually listening to the other person's perspective can help you maybe understand where they're coming from, even if they are a little nuts. Sharing our own common experiences. You know, after this person has gone insane and is being very difficult and combative and whatever, staying calm, and if you can relate to that person with a personal story, that can actually help not only you calm down, but help them calm down, so that a lot of times people just want to be heard. And so forming that commonality, that common bond, can actually bring their stress levels so that maybe you can actually have a logical and rational conversation. Of course, when it comes to dealing with difficult people, at some point we do have to set boundaries. You know, there are a lot of difficult people out there, and what sometimes makes them difficult is that they have the same problem over and over and over and over again. Every time you talk to them, they have the same problem, but they're not willing to do anything about it. They just want to vent, and they want to keep talking about the problem that they're having. I've had many people in my life who have done this, and you know, it gets very frustrating. And so at some point I had to say, you know what, I'm more than happy to talk about this situation with you, but unless you're willing to take action, then this is the last time we're going to have this conversation. And set those personal boundaries. And once you set those personal boundaries, don't break them. You know, you owe it to yourself to maintain your own stress level, your own sanity, and let that person know that, you know what, I have set this boundary. Happy to talk with you, but if you're not willing to take some action and the next time we talk you have actually made some sort of progress, then we're not going to talk about this anymore. We can still go to lunch. We can still go have a sandwich. We can still go have a cup of coffee, but we're not going to talk about that situation anymore unless you've made progress. And the last thing that we can do in order to help ourselves deal with difficult people is set distance. And you know, sometimes it is very, very hard to set distance, especially if they're, you know, a family member, a close friend. But when a difficult person just continues to be difficult, all it does is erode your self-esteem. It erodes your personal wellness, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually, sometimes financially. You know, all it's doing is eroding you, and it's bringing you down. And you deserve a lot more than that. Recently, I had a conversation with one of my best friends out in LA. And, you know, someone we used to run with and someone she has run with for a very long time, you know, unfortunately is, you know, a continuing alcoholic. She's a very active alcoholic, and, you know, she's gone to rehab a couple of different times. And finally, my friend had to say, I'm done. I cannot do this anymore. You know, and it is a very tragic thing when you have to do that, especially when it's someone that you've grown up with and someone you're very close to. And, you know, as an alcoholic, I have had people do this to me. You know, I was so downtrodden in my drinking and my way of thinking that people had to cut me off, or had to cut themselves off from me. They had to distance themselves because it was too much for them. And, you know, now that I'm sober, I can absolutely understand that. And I know that if someone treated me the way that I was treating them, then I would have done the absolute same thing. And, you know, it would have been very difficult, but I would have had to, you know, set that distance from them in order to maintain my own sanity, my own well-being. Well, my friends, I hope you got value out of this. If you did, please make sure to subscribe and like. Comment down below. Let me know how you deal with difficult people, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.